GymWits.
All right, so we've got an Ask the Trainer this week. So Justin, why don't you share the question that we have from one of our listeners?
Will do. All right, so the question comes from Jackson, and Jackson writes, "Hey guys, I'm a runner, and due to work, I have had to switch up my running time to 6 a.m. Since making the change, I've run into a bit of a problem." I guess he's literally run into a problem. "I find that if I drink too much water, I get a stitch in my side. If I don't drink water, however, I start to run out of gas. I never had this issue running in the evening. Please share any advice. Love the podcast." And thank you for writing in, Jackson.
All right, so that's a good question. I mean, it's common. We've all dealt with stitches. It tends to happen at a younger age, but everybody's dealt with it, and it's a fairly common issue. So, a couple things. It's in a tough spot because if it's 6 a.m. And you don't feel properly hydrated, and so you drink a lot of water before you go out, then you're going to run into that issue. So there are a few things I would say to think about doing to try to correct this. So like first thing with the stitch, like nobody really knows exactly what it is. There's some theories as far as like what the cause of it is, but no one knows exactly what it is. So when it comes to treating it, I would there are a few things to try and see what helps. So if you're not feeling like you're properly hydrated in the morning, therefore you need to drink more, you might want to think about like almost over hydrating at night. So maybe drink more water before you go to bed. Maybe have like even like an energy, not an energy drink, but like, Gatorade or something like that, something sugary, might with sodium might help you kind of with the morning aspect of it. So you almost want to think about like loading up at night with that in mind, that's going to be the kind of energy and hydration you're going to need for the morning run, because if you drink right before the run, that might be problematic with the running. So I would say that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is, any change in variables, whether it's like going from training at night to going to the morning, whether it goes to the pace, whether it goes to the distance, any change is going to cause the body to possibly react, and sometimes poorly. So what you might want to consider doing is, even let's say for example you're running 5 miles at an 8 mile an hour pace, and you do that every night and it's been fine. If you try doing that under a different setting, so in this case in the morning, it might just be that your body's not used to that, and so maybe take it a step back. So maybe lessen the distance or slow your pace a little bit, and then kind of build back up to it. So you might just need to reacclimate your body to some of the changes. So those are a couple things to consider as far as like kind of prior to your run, what to do. So again, hydrate the night before a little bit more, see if that helps. And then, like I said, maybe change up your pace a little bit. So other things to consider. So if you start feeling the stitches, you can stretch a little bit, stop running or slow down, stretch, take deep breaths. So deep breaths seem to help with with that type of, with the stitch on the side. Massaging that area can help, along with kind of bending forward. And, just focusing on your posture too. So if your posture is like mine is right now, where I'm a little hunched over, that's going to be, maybe a little bit more likely to deal with that kind of a stitch. So those are some things to kind of think about. But otherwise, the main thing I think is just like, again, hydrate the night before, take it back a notch, and then build back up. And you should be able to get yourself back to that, especially if this isn't something you're regularly dealing with. It really then has to do with that shift. So it's just a matter of changing things up a little bit, and then you should be fine. So thanks for asking that question. And anybody, if you have any questions for Ask the Trainer segments, just send them into TheGymWits at gmail.com.
GymWits.